Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vishpad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Shri Radha Madana Mohan Ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Ki Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jagat Guru Patit Pavan Srila Prabhupada Ki Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagna Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, text number 4 and 5. Satcha tad ashramo pavanam atiramaniyam vividha nibidha vitapa nikara samshilishta puratalatarudha sthala vihangamana मिथुनै प्रोच्यमाना श्रुतिभिः प्रतिबोध्यमाना सलिलकुकुट्ट कारन्धव कलहंसादिभिर्कुट विचित्रम् उपकूजितमालजलास्य कमलाकरम् उपपभामा स च तद् आश्रमोपवनम् अतिरमणीयम् विविध निबिध वितपि वितप निकर संश्लिष्टा पुरतलतारूढस्थल विहंगमनमिथुनै प्रोच्यमाना श्रुतिभिः प्रतिबोध्यमाना शलिलकुक्कुट कारन्धव कलहंसादिभिर् विचित्रम् उपकूजितामल जलस्य कमलाकरम् उपबभम्मा. Somebody wants to try? All right. Translation. The Apsara sent by Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake where there were ducks and swans, all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus, the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and the sweet singing of various kinds of birds. Text number 5. Text number 5. Yeah, I want the shloka. Okay. तस्याः सुललित गमनपद विंशाया Vinyasa, sorry. Tasyaha sulalita gamana pada vinyasa gati vilasayas padam khana khanayamana ruchira charanam bharana swanam upakarnya Naradeva Kumara Samadhi Yogena Milita Dayana Nalina Mukula Yugalam Isad Vika Chaya Vyachasta Tasyaha Sulalita Gamana Pada Vinyasa Gati Vilasaya Chanupadam Khana Khanayamana Ruchira Charanam Bharana Swanam Upakarnya Naradeva Kumara Samadhi Yogena Milita Nayana Nalina Mukula Yugalam Ishad Vikachaya Vyachasta Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Tasyaha, of her Purvachitti, Sulalita, in a very beautiful Gamana, movements, Pada Vinyasa, with styles of walking, Gati, in the progression, Vilasayaha, whose pastime, Cha, also, Anupadam, with every step, Khana Khanayamana, making a tinkling sound, Ruchira, very pleasing, Charana Abharana, of the ornaments on the feet, Swanam, the sound, Upakarnya, hearing, Naradeva Kumaraha, the prince, Samadhi, in ecstasy, Yogena, by controlling the senses, Amilita, half open, Nayana, eyes, Nalina, of lotus, Mukula, buds, Yugalam, like a pear, Isat, slightly, Vikachaya, opening, Vyachashta. So, translation, as Purvachitti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with every step, although Prince Agnidhra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga. With half open eyes, he could see her with his lotus like eyes. When he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Purport. It is said that yogis always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. Dhyana vastita tad gatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always observed by yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice sampreksha nashikagram, keeping their eyes half open. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. So-called yogis sometimes practice a fashionable form of yoga by closing their eyes and meditating. But we have actually seen such so-called yogis sleeping and snoring while meditating. This is not the practice of yoga. To actually practice yoga, one should keep his eyes half open and gaze at the tip of his nose. Although Agnidhra, the son of Priyavrata, was practicing mystic yoga and trying to control his senses, the tinkling sound of Purvachitti's ankle bells disturbed his practice. Yoga Indriya Samyamaha. Actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses. But the sense control of a devotee who actually engages in the service of the Lord with his purified senses, Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam, can never be disturbed. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati therefore stated, Durdhanendritiya, Durdhan Tendritiya Kala Sarpa Patali Protkhatha Damstrayate in Chaitanya Chandramrita 5. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses, which are like venomous serpents. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of the senses in the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. It is explained that a serpent is to be feared because of its poison fangs. But if those fangs are broken, the serpent, although it seems fearsome, is not at all dangerous. Devotees, therefore, may see hundreds and thousands of beautiful women with fascinating bodily movements and gestures, but not be allured, whereas such women would make ordinary yogis fall. Even the advanced yogi Vishwamitra broke his mystic practice to unite with Menaka and beget a child known as Shakuntala. The practice of mystic yoga, therefore, is not sufficiently strong to control the senses. Another example is Prince Agnidhra, whose attention was drawn to the movements of Purvachitti, the Apsara, simply because he heard the tinkling of her ankle bells. In the same way, that Vishwamitra Muni was attracted by the tinkling bangles of Menaka. Prince Agnidhra, upon hearing the tinkling bangles of Purvachitti, immediately opened his eyes to see her beautiful movements as she walked. The prince was also very handsome. As described herein, his eyes were just like buds of lotus flowers. As he opened his lotus-like eyes, he could immediately see that the Apsara was present by his side. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat. As Purva Chitti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with every step. Although Prince Agnidhra was controlling his senses and practicing yoga with half open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat krupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us on January 1st, 2025 Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are talking about the activities of Maharaj Agnidhra. So, the Apsara Purva Chitti comes in front of Prince Agnidhra and succeeds in disturbing him. She's walking around in a beautiful park near Agnidhra, and her ankles and anklets and bangles are making nice tingling sound. And Prince Agnidhra is attracted by that sound. So his half open eyes, he opens a little more and discovers that she's standing quite close by to him. And Srila Prabhupada mentions the example of Vishwamitra also being disturbed by Menaka. So material sound, sight, and also it begins with sound, sight, and then material contemplation can disturb even the most steadfast of devotees. Srila Prabhupada says that it is risky, that so much so that one should not be in a lonely place with anybody, including one's own daughter, because that's the nature of material world and can agitate the mind. So in other words, material world is definitely not a very safe place. So here it is mentioned that the beautiful movement of Purva Chitti and the ankle bells and bangles make tinkling sound, and hence we can say that he's yoga, meditation was disturbed. So, elsewhere Prabhupada says that any mechanical, artificial ways of controlling the senses is bound to fail. The only hope is that when the senses are completely engaged in the service of Krishna. Krishna is Rishikesha, controller of the senses. Only when we offer our senses in the service of Krishna is there any hope that we can control our senses. Otherwise, Prabhupada explains that senses are venomous serpents, like venomous, poisonous serpents. I mean, this is true as much true for men as it is true for women. Prabhupada says men are attracted to women and women are attracted to men in a very natural, biological way, because it's biologically organized like that. So, unless the senses are offered in the service of Rishikesha, the master of the senses, there is very little hope that one can control the senses. At various points of time, senses get attracted to various things. But yes, kama, the attraction between man and woman, is a very strong and it kind of binds you and doesn't go so easily. It lasts even when the body is incapable of reciprocating, but still the mind and the senses are still agitated by the sight of a beautiful woman. So, Purvachiti was young, handsome, Kshatriya prince. So it's not surprising that he was attracted to, Agnidhra was young, handsome, Kshatriya prince. It's not surprising that he was attracted by Purvachiti. But there are instances given in the Vedic scriptures where there are devotees who have overcome this type of attraction. The Paramahamsa devotees, the sannyasis, they have overcome this type of attraction, or shall we say distraction. Because they've offered their senses completely in the service of Krishna. We can't control the senses. Senses are actually much more powerful than us. Sometime they will crack. We can only control them by engaging them in Krishna's service. And Krishna is superior to this mind, body, intelligence. Is superior. And he can take charge of the senses. Any other way of controlling the senses, either through restraint or other yogic processes which does not involve bhakti, offering the senses in the service of Krishna, they're not so capable of controlling the senses in the long run. Actually, in the material world, the opposite is preached. This is why you have to control your senses. Why? What's the need? You feel like, do it. Whatever you feel like, you do. That's the new mantra of this world. Just do it. Think about consequences later on. So that's hedonism. In the Western philosophical thoughts, it's called hedonism. Hedonism means whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like, do it. No need to restrain. It's very natural, it's spontaneous. That's what you are. That's what you ought to be. Why you want to control? What's the need to control? Etc. So just engage your senses in whatever way the senses are demanding. Senses demand that you have to eat something, then you eat. The senses are demanding something else, then do it. Something else, then do it. Go on doing it. So hedonism is trying to search for pleasure through sense engagement. Trying to search for pleasure. Or shall we say, hedonism also can be referring to a person who has so much faith in sense pleasure, and he believes that's the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to satisfy one's senses, and he has great faith that senses have to be satisfied. So pleasure, it's called pleasure seeking behavior, but pleasure seeking within the ambit of material world. Primarily they gravitate towards sex and uninhibited, unrestricted indulgence in sex. hedonism. But then the Western philosophers or philosophers who have written about hedonism, they themselves say that hedonism doesn't work. As a philosophy, as a long-term thing, it doesn't work. They themselves have admitted. They say that uh, there is a material pleasure. I mean, it seems like they've borrowed straight from the Vedic scripture. Seems like that. But they say that there is a decreasing quotient of happiness. That means when you indulge in some material thing, first time you do, it's great. Second time, okay. Third time, okay. Fourth, fifth, sixth. The pleasure one derives by doing the same thing repeatedly goes on decreasing. So they say that the problem with hedonism is that you won't be stable. You indulge in something for some time, and after that, you'll start feeling that maybe this is not the right thing, I should do something else. Or I should do some other way, like that. So they said that a person who is hedonistic is always restless. He's always restless. He's not satisfied. He's thinking, maybe something else can give me more pleasure than this. Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I should do things differently or whatever. It's because, see, the other principle why hedonism fails is because, ultimately the only source of pleasure in this world is Krishna. Krishna, he holds pleasure. He's the fountainhead of pleasure. So separate from Krishna, no matter what you do, whatever you do, it can give you some temporary, transitory kind of happiness, very temporary happiness, because it's disconnected from Krishna. Because the philosophers of the Western world don't accept the Krishna connection, they rationalize the whole thing in a very materialistic way. They say that while indulging in one type of pleasure, the mind is thinking that maybe something else gives me more pleasure than this. Maybe I should try that. So it says that because of a person who is hedonistic, he misses out. That means rather than enjoying what he's doing, he's thinking maybe something else gives me more pleasure. Hence, it's bound to fail. It just doesn't work. Just that it makes the society full of beasts, animals, very animalistic beasts. Because everybody is, so a particular relationship or a relationship lasts as long as both parties or multiple parties experience happiness. Otherwise, they junk it. They just abandon it. So hedonism can create a very beastly, animalistic society where everybody is searching for happiness which they're not going to get. But on the other hand, in the Vedic scriptures, it is said that Krishna is happiness. Krishna is the fountainhead. Krishna is the source of happiness. In the beginning, we don't, in our beginning of our spiritual life, the only thing that we meditate upon so intensely is the so-called restrictions in bhakti. We shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. So we think that maybe all this is designed to cut off pleasure. Oh, it's not like that. Prabhupada very clearly, very nicely and emphatically points out that see, in this world, if there is anything that can give pleasure, it is Krishna. It's like when you plug into an electric socket which is connected, then you can get to draw electricity. So Krishna is that source of happiness. So when we connect with Krishna, then we can be happy. Not otherwise. No matter what we try. Because two souls, two atmas getting together, maybe in a male body, female body, but nowadays it's so crazy that two male bodies pretend that no, I won't get happiness through a female body. Let's try the male thing. Even that is crazy. It's not a sustaining thing. Materially, nothing works. It's not meant to work, by the way. Because if it is meant to give us happiness, then we won't go back to Krishna. It's just not meant to work. Any type of combination, relationship, engagement in material world is not designed to succeed. By the way, it is said that the more one indulges in something like that, the more the fire or the intensity of desire to experience that or something else increases. It does not subside. That's another problem with hedonism. It's said that the more you indulge, you might think that, okay, if I indulge that, I'll become satisfied. No, it is not. It's like throwing ghee into fire. The scriptures say it's like throwing ghee into fire. It will never subside. It will become even more ferocious. Because the Prabhupada explains in the purport here that our senses are like venomous serpents. But Prabhupada also says, because they're venomous serpents, you can't bind them. You can't tie them up and keep them. That's also not possible. The only hope is engaging them in Krishna's service. Anandambudhi Vardhanam. So when we take up to some kind of service to Krishna, then there is ever increasing happiness. Not diminishing type of happiness that we get through materialistic indulgence. Ever increasing. Because Krishna is fountainhead of happiness, and Krishna is always Nava Yavvanam. Krishna is always fresh. Krishna is always new. Krishna is always fun. Krishna is adventure. Krishna is humor. Krishna is wit. Krishna is joy. Krishna is everything that a living entity spontaneously seeks. A living entity spontaneously seeks all of this. That is Krishna. So all that a living entity spontaneously, we don't have to be taught that we should look for happiness in this world or like that. So in the same way, all that we spontaneously, shall I say the living entity, the Atma spontaneously seeks, is there in Krishna. And when we reach out to Krishna, we will find it. So Krishna is the provider of happiness. The word Krishna includes Na. Na means from, Krish means to attract, Na means to provide happiness or the source of happiness. It derived from the word Ananda. So this understanding that Krishna is the provider of happiness, is very basic premise of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Krishna is the complete shelter. Krishna is the ultimate only shelter. The natural quality of the living entity is to seek shelter. Krishna is the natural quality of the Lord is to provide shelter. The natural quality of the living entity is to seek happiness, and Krishna is the provider of that happiness. Krishna provides that happiness. So when one is detached from each other, that is Krishna and the living entity detached, and that relationship is lost, and the living entity, Krishna Bahirmukha, keeps searching for happiness in this material world, where such an happiness does not exist. Unam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After billions of lifetimes, finally one living entity may come to Krishna and say, I've tried everything possible. Everything possible I have tried. Punah punah charvita charvyananam. I've tried everything possible multiple number of times. At least now, let me see what Krishna has to offer to me. Will Krishna deliver what the scriptures speak about? That he will deliver happiness, he will deliver, it's like fish back in the water. That's how intimately we are connected with Krishna. As long as we are outside the shelter of Krishna, disconnected, we're like the fish out of water. No matter what you do, there is always fear, anxiety, uncertainty, a feeling of incompleteness. No matter what you do, where you are, how you're living. You may have the most beautiful, like Purva Chitti type of Apsara very close to you, but still it's impossible to remove these feelings of incompleteness, fear, anxiety, helplessness, despair, frustration, that they're always there in the material world when somebody is disconnected from Krishna. Just as much as a fish when outside water will experience all of this. So our natural state is go back to water, which means go back under the shelter of Krishna. So when the residents of Govardhan, Vrindavan were under the shelter of Govardhan, they actually did not feel any pain or anxiety. that Indra was trying to impose on them. Indra was trying to basically terrorize them, scare them, terrorize them. He was angry because they denied Indra Puja. They did not perform Indra Puja. So Indra was out to punish them. But because they were under the shelter of Krishna, they didn't feel a thing. Not only that, there was devastating rainfall in Vrindavan. But nothing seemed to impact or affect them. Nothing at all. They were blissfully enjoying the association of Krishna. See, Krishna is all complete in the sense that all the rasas converge in him. When the Lord appears as Lord Rama, then his predominant rasa is, maybe you could say Dasya rasa. There are only 2-3 people that Lord Rama extends the hand of friendship. Sugriva, who else? Sugriva and Guha, Vibhishan. Only 3 people he extends the hand of friendship. Otherwise, all the rest of them are more or less in Dasya rasa. But Krishna, all the rasas converge. Humor, adventure, fun, wit, laughter, ecstasy, love, friendship, fear. I mean, in one sense, Krishna. So when that famous forest fire happened in the forest of Bandirvana, all the Gopa boys were there, the cows were there, and suddenly Kamsa's followers light up Bandirvana with fire. So they're experiencing so much fear. They're worried about themselves, worried about Krishna, and worried about the cows and the calves. Because Kamsa's associates light up a fire. So Krishna, they run to Krishna, and Krishna says, all right, now I'm there. I'll figure out something. I'll do something. Until I figure out something, all of you please close your eyes, or something like that, he says. So all of them close their eyes, and Krishna just, as soon as they all close their eyes, he just swallows the fire. Swallows the whole thing into his system. And they open their eyes, and lo, behold, it's gone. No fire. So, you see, we should understand that the fundamental belief or the premise in bhakti is we serve Krishna. Yeah, of course we serve Krishna. The underlying premise is Krishna is the source of happiness. Of course, we are not saying we'll be selfish. We go to Krishna because we want to be happy. That's not our mood. We go to Krishna because we love him, we serve him, we want to serve him, we want to engage. Because there's no better master than Krishna in this universe. There's no better recipient of service. There's nobody more handsome, nobody more fun-loving, nobody more generous, nobody more adventure, nobody so humorous and full of wit, and nobody extends himself so completely to his devotees like Krishna does. Nobody. Lord Rama is a little restrained. Narsingha, we can't go beyond Dasya rasa in front of Narsingha Dev. But Krishna, every rasa converges, and not only converges, every rasa becomes, what shall we say, manifest to its most sweetest extent. Every rasa. It gets mixed with sweetness and manifest. Even friendship with Krishna gets manifest in a very, very sweet way. Generally saying, friendship has some kind of boundaries, but with Krishna, friendship gets mixed up with sweetness. It's said that Krishna is so sweet that he is always looking at opportunities to shower his sweetness onto his devotees. So it's said in the Govardhan Leela, when the rain stops, and everybody is getting out from under the Govardhan, it's said that the Gopabais go outside the Govardhan, outside the shelter of Govardhan, because the rain has stopped, and the whistle or something, they call out the names of the cows and calves. So all the cows and calves run out of Govardhan. Till then they were gazing at Krishna, and they go away because their names are being called. They're being called. They go out from under the Govardhan. And when they go out, they suddenly realize that Krishna is still there, still holding the Govardhan on the little finger of his left hand. So they go out and they realize that Krishna has not come. The Gopabais were there, but the Krishna has not come. So they charge back inside and they're disappointed. They come back inside and they're circling Krishna and looking at Krishna. But Krishna wants them to go out, because unless they go out, he can't place Govardhan back into its original position. So it is said that Krishna Krishna tells them that, you see, I've got to place the Govardhan back, and so you have to cooperate with me. I'll be with you all very soon. Just as soon as I place Govardhan back, I'll come back and I'll reunite myself with you. And then it is mentioned very, very sweetly, it is mentioned that Krishna, after he says that, throws a glance of love towards the cows. That means he glances at all the cows and calves so lovingly and affectionately that the cows and calves start moving out on their own, because they don't want to trouble Krishna. They say, all right, the Lord has to place the Govardhan back. And his glance of love and compassion sends them back again. So, Krishna could have... So the point is, Krishna reciprocates. Krishna says, you went out and you came back for me. You came back for me and me. I noticed that. I've acknowledged that. I am deeply touched by how much love you have for me, that you went back, you went there and came back just for my sake. But please cooperate. I'll join you, I'll reunite with you shortly. Just allow me to place Govardhan back where it was originally, and I'll come back and reunite with you. And he does that with a glance of love and appreciation towards the cows. And then the cows go out. So we just have to open our heart to the words of the Acharyas, to the scripture, to the words of Krishna, to the words of Krishna as explained and elaborated by the Acharyas. That's exactly what Lord Chaitanya tells Rupa Goswami. He says to Rupa Goswami that you please elaborate the rasa portion of all the scriptures. The rasa. Rasa means there is the Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya rasa. But then it's not that Krishna is withholding himself and his rasa or is restricted only to those in the Madhurya Bhava or Vatsalya Bhava. It said that even in the Dasya Bhava stage, or Krishna shows how much love he has for those who are serving him, how much affection he has. Or for that matter, even upon those who are in Shanta Rasa, you could say cows and calves are more like Shanta than Dasya. Because that's all they're capable of. They're capable of Shanta Rasa, they're capable of a little bit Dasya maybe. But that's what their natural. So Krishna showers his affectionate glances even upon those who are in Shanta Rasa. Krishna means love. Krishna means he's the fountainhead. He's the original source of rasa. Rasa means affection, love. He throws. So when we get connected with Krishna, the natural byproduct is that we transcend material attractions. In other words, we are not trying to control the senses by sense control. We achieve sense control by transcending the influence of the senses and becoming attached to Krishna. We transcend. In other words, we just bypass. We don't try to get into this whole exercise of trying to understand the senses, among the senses, the mind, the eyes, the this, that. Then there is the intelligent mind. Then mind is the master of the senses. Then intelligence. And above the intelligence is the soul. That's all fine. That is Sankhya kind of an approach, an analytical kind of an approach to sense control. But Mahaprabhu and the acharyas who follow, of course, that's also important. Early stages, our love for Krishna is not awakened. So there is no doubt that we have to discipline ourselves. We have to discipline ourselves, and discipline has its role to play in our early stages of bhakti. But the point is that ultimately Rupa Goswami mentions that we transcend, we bypass, we go beyond senses and objects that attract the senses by connecting ourselves with Krishna. Because Krishna fulfills, Krishna satisfies, Krishna showers so much love and affection, so much love and affection, that a living entity becomes overwhelmed by the affection he gets. Mother Earth, for example, Krishna is walking on the Mother Earth. Krishna's footsteps are falling on Mother Earth. It is said that Mother Earth was experiencing ecstasy, a kind of ecstasy every time, ecstasy of affection. She was receiving ecstasy. She was at the receiving end of affection, love from Krishna every time he would place his foot on Mother Earth. And she felt a complete sense of satisfaction that Krishna is there. I'm able to serve him. His lotus feet is placed. He places his lotus feet on me wherever he goes, whenever he goes. The very thought that Krishna is present is so overwhelming, so completely overwhelming. So when Krishna leaves this world and goes away, Mother Earth laments. She says, I don't feel that touch anymore from the Lord's lotus feet. I don't feel that ecstasy anymore. Everything now appears like a burden. Why should I? Like that. So Krishna, it said that
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the point is that it is said that Krishna is trying to attract us by performing leelas. But the leela that Krishna is performing is not really killing of, let's say, Dhenukasura or Arishtasura or something. Well, they happen, they definitely do happen. But the leela that the Lord is performing, the underlying current and mood of that leela is that Krishna is showing how much he loves his devotees. And then he's saying, if you come back to me, I'll have a chance to love you more, to show you more, much more. What I'm doing here is just but a sample of how much I love you. I'm just showing you a glimpse. But if you do come back to me, then because you'll have got rid of this material body, you'll have a perfect spiritual body, which is capable of receiving ecstatic, receiving love from Krishna. See, right now in our materialistic contaminated state, we were not even capable of comprehending, receiving, or understanding, or even receiving love from Krishna is limited because we have a body and a mind, everything. Imagine we have a spiritual body just like that of Krishna. Actually, that's what we are. We are just like Krishna. Just that we are infinitesimal. Krishna is infinite. So, because we are infinitesimal and our ability to receive love for Krishna, from Krishna, is many times more than what we can when we are engaged in a material body. So Krishna is saying, come, come. That's what you're missing. So it's not so much the Pralambrasura or Arishtasura, Putana Vada. Krishna is saying, come back, come back. Give me a chance to show how much I can love you. So that is what Krishna is demonstrating in the material world. In the material world, in his leelas, he's showing, look at the Gopa boys. Look at the kind of loving exchanges we have. You're missing out. You're just as much eligible as these Gopa boys are to have the same. I want. You're missing out. I want you to come back. I love you as much as I love these Gopa boys. But you're the one who's staying away. You're the one who's gone away. Please come back. So Krishna is beckoning us back into the spiritual world by showing his rasa, which is why Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami saying, compose, or rather present all the leelas of Krishna with the true inherent mellow or rasa. So hence Rupa Goswami is sometimes called as Rasa Acharya. So it's not just that it's not that Krishna swallows the forest fire. Krishna is showing how he can create a drama out of some activity done by Kamsa. He makes it into a very relishable nectarian pastime. He says, all right, I'm there. I'll do something. All of you close your eyes till I figure out what I can do. They all close their eyes and they open their eyes again. Krishna is all right. It's all now over. Then lo behold, it's all gone. Then imagine the scripture says they fall in love with Krishna much more than before. Oh, Krishna, you could do this for us. And Krishna says, yes, I had to do for you. You're so dear to me. How could I let anything or anybody disturb you? You're so very dear to me. So one way is go through these tests by Purvachitti or somebody else, and then Prabhupada says, okay, if I decide that I don't want to see Purvachitti and close my eyes fully, so then Prabhupada says, then you'll fall asleep. So if you keep your eyes half open, then you'll see the beautiful form of Purvachitti or whoever else, somebody else in the material world. And then chances are that you'll get distracted. All this is happening because there's a vacuum in your brain and you're not thinking about serving Krishna. You're not engaged in serving Krishna. If you are engaged in serving Krishna, then it's a different type of different type of loving exchange. So Krishna, clearly in the scripture it is said, that is what is our entitlement. That is what we are eligible for. That is what Krishna is waiting for us to do. That is what should happen. That is what bhakti is all about. That is the purpose of the acharyas and the gurus coming and telling, take the scripture, read it, study, and just see how in every pastime Krishna's love for his devotees is being showcased. Every pastime. And Krishna's love is also being showcased and the devotee's love is also being showcased. And when the devotee shows love, Krishna reciprocates even more enthusiastically when the devotee showed love for Krishna. Even more lovingly, even more enthusiastically. Krishna actually overwhelms those devotees who show some love and sincere service towards him. He overwhelms them. Like, the gopis of Vrindavan or the Sakhas, or, even even if somebody does small little service to Krishna, the Lord keeps it in mind and reciprocates very, very benevolently, very generously. Draupadi gives him just a small piece of cloth she tore from her sari. And Krishna says, oh, you destroyed your sari for my sake? That's a big sacrifice. You can't wear this sari again because you tore it, because I cut my little finger. And Krishna says, I'm grateful to you, like that. But days later, months later, when there was this Dushasana attempting to do something so very, what shall we say, deplorable, Krishna comes to our rescue. Krishna comes to our rescue, and he says something very remarkable. Krishna says, of course, I had to give this sari because long back you gave me a little piece of cloth when I cut my little finger. But Krishna says something so very pleasing to Draupadi. Krishna says, when you were in distress, the way you called out my name, Govinda, I'm all yours. If you wish, you save me. Otherwise, I don't know what else I can do. I've tried my best. I'm giving up now. I can't handle this Dushasana's force and strength. I'm just giving up. If you wish, you save me. Otherwise, no. And she yells out the name of Govinda from deep within her heart. Krishna says, the way you uttered my name with so much faith and love and helplessly, that I'm so indebted to you for the way you chanted my name that I can't repay you. Something like that, Krishna says. I'm so indebted to you. So Krishna is, imagine how much, that's the way the equation is with Krishna. We do something, Krishna becomes very, very impressed, very happy, very obliged, very grateful, and very loving. Anything you do for Krishna. So, which is why it is said that all the other time that we spent not serving Krishna is waste. It's actually a waste. The time that we spend serving Krishna and the Vaishnavas, that is well spent. That is proper utilization of time. Otherwise, what is the benefit? It is just some mundane activity on a mundane plane, which probably entangles us in more karmic reaction. So that is, so here in this verse, Prabhupada is explaining that Hrishikesha Hrishikena Sevana. That means engage your senses in serving Krishna. It's a very straightforward, blunt statement that Srila Prabhupada is making. In other words, he's saying, don't try this half open eyes, half closed eyes, this, that. It may not work for you. Just engage in my service. Hear, chant, and serve. I mean, we are not at a platform where all we can do is hear and chant. We need to be engaged. We are passionate. We have a lot of passion in our body, mind. So we need to be engaged. So we are all thankful to Srila Prabhupada in one sense that he created an institution, a worldwide institution, where we can engage ourselves, our passion, our energies, our senses, our intellect, our mind, our faculties, our competences, everything in the service of Krishna. Actually, Iskcon is an expansion of Krishna's mercy. Expansion of not just mercy, expansion of Krishna's love for all of us. He says, come, get on board Iskcon and be engaged in service. This is a vehicle through which we serve Krishna. And everybody in one way or other can be accommodated according to one's interest and inclination. Is accommodated. It's one way of saying is a mercy of Krishna, that a Guru Parampara that Iskcon is expanded to accept. Another way of looking at it is Krishna's demonstrating how much he loves, saying, whether we're qualified, not qualified, semi-qualified, come on board. Just somehow or other be engaged and leave the rest to me. Leave this business of sense control to me. Prabhupada explains so nicely in the purports of the Bhagavad Gita, he explains that a devotee, his mood is so different in the sense that a devotee offers his senses to Krishna and says, there, I am yours, my body is yours, my life is yours, my senses are also yours. Please engage them in whatever way you like, however you like. They're yours. I've completely offered my senses to you. And Prabhupada explains that Krishna takes charge of the senses of such living entities and engages them as an instrument in his hand in expanding his love and compassion for the living entities. He takes charge of the senses of such living entities, and they become an instrument of expanding Krishna's love or shall we say delivering Krishna's love for the living entities. And when we deliver somebody to Krishna, we become happy. We become very, very blissful and happy. In the material world, there's no other way of getting happiness except by connecting people to Krishna, also by engaging in the service of Krishna. So when Krishna takes charge of our senses, like he took charge of Arjuna's senses, he got Arjuna to do whatever he wanted to do. Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tava. I am completely satisfied. I'm completely convinced. I'm completely peaceful. I'm completely confident. And I'm happily, voluntarily offering my senses. And I will do exactly what you wish me to do. Exactly whatever you wish me to do. And that is perfection. That is perfection. When a living entity goes to Krishna and says, I'm yours. Engage me in whatever way you like, however you like. Krishna becomes very pleased. Then that is the meaning of saying, Krishna says, I'll take charge of your life hereafter. Yoga kshemam vaham yaham. I'll take charge. You're now mine. You're mine and I will take charge. So, Mahaprabhu also shows that when one chants sincerely and serves Guru and hears the words of the Acharyas, and of course engages in the service, Mahaprabhu shows by his own personal example how happy, how blissful, how ecstatically, infinitely happy somebody becomes. So compared to that kind of an ecstasy one experiences when serving Krishna, all the happiness of material world gets reduced to that of water in the hoof print of a tiny calf. That is how we get over this material world. That is how we get over. Krishna reduces all these material phenomena, Swargaloka to Patala Loka, everything. He reduces into the water in the hoof print of a calf. So effortlessly you're carried across. You cross over. That's called transcending. So this is what we learn. And then we see whether it is Vishwamitra or Agnidhra or anybody who are trying this mechanical means of controlling the mind. Doesn't work so well. Of course, in the case of devotees, even if they fail, Krishna finds some way of saving them, protecting them. Some way he will find. But because they have not engaged their senses positively engaged their senses in serving Krishna, because they are trying the mechanical means or sense control. But right here in this purport, Prabhupada is saying they have venomous senses we can't control. So the more we apply ourselves in Krishna's life, Krishna's service, the higher the chances are that we will be saved from the venomous serpents that are our senses. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Any questions? Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So the discussion is going between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami. And Parikshit Maharaj's question is, what should one do when he's going to die in 7 days? And I don't understand, because now this is okay, but now the discussion that is going to come is very lusty. The Agnidhra's statements and all. So I understand Sukdev Goswami may quote examples to give that we should not engage in such things. But
We
why
should not again?
we should not we should not get fooled like Agnidhra was. In that way, Sukdev Goswami may be saying. But why such a detailed description is given? Because he's almost at the end, frag end of his life, Parikshit Maharaj. So if he becomes lusty at that point, then
Oh no, you're saying that at the fag end, I mean, your point is that Parikshit Maharaj got carried away. Is that what your point is?
no,
How could that happen to him?
I'm saying Parikshit Maharaj is almost about to die, 7 days, and so that is why Sukdev Goswami is giving these instructions. But why such detailed description of lusty descriptions are given?
In
Because
the Bhagavatam.
because then it can make him also. There's a chance.
Oh, I got your point. So you're saying that by giving this detailed description, isn't it inappropriate that Sukadeva Goswami is saying this to Parikshit at the point of time when he's about to leave his body, and probably incite some lusty feelings in Parikshit Maharaj by giving such detailed description? Wow, I never thought of it like that. Very nice question. So, I guess the point that is being made here is that the inherent weakness of the process of trying to control the senses without offering them to Krishna's service. So if you are trying to control your senses without offering them in Krishna's service, without engaging them completely, lovingly in Krishna's service, then that process is bound to fail. Like Vishwamitra's case, like Purvachitti and Agnidhra's case, that will fail. But if one is engaged in Krishna's service, such as Parikshit Maharaj, he was just hearing the words of a great Acharya, Sukadeva Goswami. So you end up learning from others' failures. That's also there. A devotee doesn't always learn by doing mistakes himself. He learns from others' failures also. So Sukadeva Goswami is saying what you're doing is far superior than what Agnidhra and Vishwamitra, others have resorted to. Far superior, much better. Because you're directly in connection with Krishna, hearing about Krishna. And listening to Krishna's pastime is all perfect. And satisfies every sense of the body. Satisfies every sense of the body completely, transcendentally, ecstatically, spiritually, in a manner in which nothing material can do. The most beautiful woman you experience, it's said that you have a reducing quotient. After some time, one gets frustrated, too familiar, contempt, and disinterested. So, as against that, anything to do with Krishna is ever increasingly sweeter. So you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. Look at what happened to those who didn't do what you did. So you can look at it that way. Sukadeva Goswami is saying, look at those who didn't do what you did and who had to compromise. See, please understand that Parikshit is very dear to Krishna. Very, very dear to Krishna. And so Parikshit was personally protected by Krishna even when he was in the womb. So, contrary to what you have said, Prabhupada has mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. I mean, Prabhupada has mentioned more than once, somebody who is inflicted by very strong lusty desires, very, very strong lusty desires. Prabhupada says, let them read Krishna's pastimes, the rasa dance, the gopis' separation, feeling of separation for Krishna, the songs of the gopis, the songs of, after they separated, the whole thing. Let them read, they'll be relieved. No portion of Krishna Leela can tempt in the manner in which a material association can tempt. Krishna Leela is all perfect. Prabhupada says, just read. Your lusty senses, thoughts will subside eventually. But of course, Prabhupada says one shouldn't read prematurely. One should not read unless one accepts Krishna as the Supreme Lord, all perfect Supreme Lord. One should not. And basic thing is that one should not look at it as a young boy, young girl type of a relationship. It's a relationship of supreme sacrifice. The gopis wish to sacrifice everything for pleasure of Krishna. And Krishna receives that sacrifice and reciprocates very, very generously. Receives that sacrifice and reciprocates. So if you have that basic premise, then reading the Leela of Krishna, the Ras Leela, can actually subside. So it will have the opposite effect of what you are thinking. Prabhupada declares, So if you're having trouble with controlling lust, which is actually very, very difficult to control, Prabhupada says, relish the pastimes of, as presented by the Acharya. Don't do independently. Don't go and take 10th canto or some other so-called books which present the Ras Leela in its more graphically or something like that, more erotically or some. No, don't do that. As presented by the Acharya. In fact, this is the criticism that is held against Lord Chaitanya. They say you're a sannyasi and you take great pleasure in chanting the names of the gopis, or you meditate on the mood of the gopis when they were serving Krishna. They didn't understand. They didn't understand that Lord Chaitanya's bhava, mood. So fearlessly we can read, hear anything in the Bhagavatam. This is nothing compared to the feelings of separation the gopis express when they miss Krishna. This is nothing compared to how intensely they speak, how grossly also sometimes they speak about Krishna, how to reciprocate, how Krishna mischievously paints their breasts and things like that. But it has the effect of pacifying the lusty senses. Krishna is wants to reach out to you, and more than all of us, Krishna knows how difficult it is to get over lust, which is why he has given this remedy. Engage your senses. Okay, if it becomes too much, you have, like they say, you have a panic attack, you have a lust attack, just read the Bhagavatam. Especially those portions, the Gopis' prayers and so on, Govardhan Leela. Krishna is complete. Krishna can satisfy every sense, every cell of your body completely. Krishna Leela can. Every cell of your body can be satisfied. It's not that we are in a hopeless situation. We are never hopeless when we are devotees. We are never hopeless, and the Bhagavatam wouldn't do anything to incite sexual feelings, wouldn't do. It's all perfect. Okay, good question. Any other question? Yes. Did I answer your question?
So you mentioned that according to hedonism, right? If you indulge in sense pleasures, over that period it will be reducing, right? At the same time, Prabhupada mentions like the senses will be very will become very voracious if you indulge more and more. So how can this both statement?
Somebody can repeat. Too much noise. I didn't hear. No, I couldn't hear clearly.
So you mentioned that, yeah. So according to hedonism, so you mentioned that over the period of time, the interest will be reduced. The senses,
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So at the same time, the more we indulge, it increases the the fire of the senses also, right?
Oh, you're saying over a period of time, our how venomous our senses are, that should come down. But actually, we find that they are becoming more and more venomous. Or shall we say more powerful? Is that your question? You see, we will have feelings. The good thing in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara is that we're not trying to teach the Buddhist way of nirvana. The Buddhist way of nirvana is to try and manipulate your mind into, or even for that matter, the Mayavada way is to deny or nirvana means to kill the thoughts of your mind. Actually, kill the thoughts, kill them like that. A very mechanical, meditative process, meditative approach. The thing about all these practices are they don't take help from Krishna. They sit in a corner undisturbed and they practice some kind of a process, pranayama, this and that, to quieten the mind, to make the mind quiet and make the mind still, etc. But it's out and out a materialistic way, this nirvana Buddhist process of meditation. So it doesn't work for them. It fails. So they lead a very frustrated life. Now, what to speak of that? Now, you're asking that I'm doing bhakti, I'm chanting, I'm this and that, but I don't see any I don't see my senses or lust or something subsiding. In fact, it seems to be getting stronger and more virulent. So what do I do? So we are all passionate creatures. We have a lot of passion in us. So according to our passion, we have to be engaged actively, which is why Prabhupada said the business of the leader is to give challenging assignments to people who are working under him. Challenge them. Give them a challenge where they can apply themselves fully and completely. See, the reality is this. As long as we have engaged completely and under the shelter of Krishna, but the moment we become lax and the moment we become overconfident, we tend to move out of the shelter of Krishna. Like Indra, he became overconfident, he became prideful, and then he kind of came out of the shelter of Krishna to the point where he started challenging Krishna. He started challenging Krishna, saying, that's how this whole Vrindavan, Govardhan, Leela pastime happens. Challenges Krishna. Same is the case for us. As long as we are meek, humble, dependent, surrendered, and Krishna is inclined to protect us. Like the Gopas run and the cows run helplessly to Krishna and say, please save us. So Krishna becomes obliged. None of them at any point of time, though they have achieved spiritual perfection, none of them at any point of time will think that I can play the role of Krishna, or I can protect, or no. They're always surrendered. They're always, the natural Swarupa Siddhi is, I'm servant of Krishna, so they're always in that mood. Hence, Krishna is obliged to protect them completely, 360 degrees. He'll protect them. So much so that it is mentioned in one place in the scripture, it is said that if someone who is a pure devotee of the Lord runs with his eyes closed, Krishna will see he doesn't fall. That's how much love Krishna has for his devotees. It's said that he will run, Krishna will protect, so to see that he doesn't fall. So our hope is, and shall be exclusive surrender to Krishna. Sometimes we have a bad day. Sometimes we have more lust attack than something else. But we have to bite our teeth and bear it and wait. Pray to Krishna helplessly, saying, just as you killed, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you have to pray to Krishna. You killed Agasura, you killed Vyomasura, you killed this Asura. Krishna, please, why don't you kill this Kama Asura? I mean, in a manner of speaking, Kama Asura. Why don't you please kill? We have to ask. Honestly, we have to ask. We should have that courage and humility to ask Krishna, please protect me. So the component of prayer, helpless prayer, is also very important. Sometimes it is lust, sometimes it is family affection. Kunti Maharani says, I'm attached to my children. I'm worried about their welfare. Then towards the end, she will say, I want to transcend that. Enough of this. I just don't want to have anything other than attraction for your lotus feet. Except that, nothing else I want. So, also the Acharyas say sometimes when we go through these bouts of lust, it's like a testing time for us. What do we choose? Krishna is saying, what do we choose? But then if we are being repeatedly in that zone of high, very lusty zone, repeatedly, constantly, then we have to figure out maybe something is wrong. Maybe we are chanting offensively. Maybe we have some inimical mindset towards some devotee or Vaishnava, some aparadh, something. If you're constantly in that frame of mind, eternally awakened lusty feelings, then we have to introspect a little bit. But even then, Krishna will find some remedy. Actually, this is the prayer that all the devotees always make. Please protect me from myself, from my own hidden enemies. My lust, greed, envy, anger, pride, laziness, jealousy, envy. Please protect me. They are my real enemies. And Krishna's word, Krishna's name, Krishna's service is so powerful and nothing can face up to that. We have to be patient, we have to pray, we have to beg and introspect a little bit. Something wrong I'm doing. Am I contemplating too much on some woman, this or that? Something wrong. Somewhere it's going wrong. So we have to introspect. Our mind intelligence is there for us to introspect and take help and find out where is it that we are going wrong. So we take more intensive bhakti during that period when we are attacked. Like when someone is really badly sick, then he gets into an ICU. So we chant more, we do some vratas, we do more vratas. Something we have to do and figure out a spiritual solution where we get connected with Krishna more. But ultimately speaking, the offense that destroys our bhakti is Vaishnava Aparadha, which destroys the benefits of the benefits, auspicious benefits of bhakti from manifesting in our heart is Vaishnava Aparadha. So we need to check. Maybe somewhere we are going wrong. Good question. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai Go Premanande.